This Land Use Committee meeting of September 6th will come to order. I'm Councilmember Robert Carroll, Chair of the Land Use Committee. First, may I request if anybody has anything that makes noise, please put it on a silent mode or turn it off. With us this afternoon, we have Stacy Cavello.
Aloha, Chair.
Alika Atai.
Hello, Chair.
Yuki Sigamura.
Aloha, Chair.
And L.A. Cochran.
Aloha, good afternoon.
Excused at this time are Ricky Okama, Don Guzman, and Kelly King, and Mike White. And some of them will be joining us later. For Corporation Council, we have James Giroux, Planning Department, we have Will Spence
Good afternoon, Chair.
and Paul Fosse, our
Good
planner.
afternoon, Chair.
Public Works, we have Rowena Dagdag Endaya, the Deputy Director. Our Legislative Analyst, we almost said the wrong name, Carla Nakata. Our Committee Secretary, Rena Yap. Hana District Office, we have Don Lono. Lanai District Office, we have Denise Fernandez. And Molokai District Office, we have Ella Alcon. We have 2 items on the agenda today. LU 36, conditional permit for property located at 1550 Piholo Road, Makawao, and LU 6, 2-family duplex district. For the individuals signing up to give testimony, please sign up at the desk outside the chamber door. If testifying in one of the remote sites, please see the district office staff. Testimony will be limited to items on the agenda today. Pursuant to the rules of the council, each testifier will be allowed to testify for up to 3 minutes per item. When testifying, please state your name and any organization you might be representing. Ms. Nakata, we will begin public testimony.
Yes, Mr. Chair. The first testifier who is signed up to testify in the chamber is Levin Keola Sekera. Levin will be followed by Jocelyn Christy Wolf.
Please proceed.
Okay. I've known Gina for a very long time. For many years, she has been helping keep alive the Hawaiian cultural practice of lomi lomi, which she learned from renowned healer Auntie Mahilani Poi Poi. Since the time it was passed on to her, Gina has been faithful to her kuleana of ensuring that life and growth of this ancient and sacred knowledge. She has been even gone all the way to Europe to share what she has taught. Why would she now be prevented to teach in her own land, on her own property? What she does is not hurting the neighbors or the neighborhood. In fact, our community and our world is greatly benefited by her work of healing the body and the spirit.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Name is Levan Keola Sekera. I'm a resident of Pakala, Lahaina, Maui for 72 years. And
Thank you, sir. Any clarification needed from the testifier?
so I'd just like to add that the Hawaiian culture has been very much eroded, devastated. And this is one of the few practices that's still alive, along with the hula and maybe canoe racing. And I see no need to try to put another nail there, if you may, in the Hawaiian culture's coffin. So if you may, please allow this to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Any clarification needed from the testifier? Seeing none, and Kelly King is with us. Thank you, Ms. King. Thank you, sir. Ms. Nakata.
The next testifier is Jocelyn Christy Wolf. She'll be testifying on LU 36, and she'll be followed by Chuck Miller.
Aloha, Ohana. I'm Jocelyn Christy Wolf, and I am a Lomi Lomi practitioner at Ho'omana Spa. I first began as a hamana of Kumujina a little over 7 years ago, and I graduated from the Ho'omana Lomi Lomi apprenticeship. Once I received my licensure, I began practicing there as an employee as well. So I have a variety of insight between being an employee, between being a student, and also I was not born of this land. I'm from Ohio originally, so coming here to learn the Pono way to walk on this land, the proper protocols, the ways of the ancestors of this place, how to pray and chant in the way that they pass down, working with the plants, working with the stones, working with the elements, and it's been a life-changing experience for me, and I feel hanaiden and embraced by the culture and by these ways, and it is my livelihood to share and to perpetuate it in a good way, and Ho'omana is such a sacred hub for that, for people from all over the world to come and to receive healing through the practices of the spa, through learning about the ways, to come and to receive the teachings of how to share. And I just fully support and have dedicated myself to Ho'omana. It's a home for me. The Ohana, Nalawai and Tafari Ohana are doing really wonderful things, and lives are being touched all the time by those that come. And not only those that come to this island, but those that live on this island to reawaken the practices of the native people here that come to receive the teachings or the healings. We spread throughout the community of the island of Maui, giving community outreaches, free Lomi Lomi. I have traveled to Molokai a couple times, as well as Kauai, with our Ho'omana Ohana to share the Lomi and the teachings, and also going to Big Island a few times to connect with all the other practitioners throughout the islands, the Hawaiian Lomi Association Conference. And so there's education and there's hands-on experiential experiences I have and have witnessed, and it's definitely a blessing for the island of Maui, a blessing for all of Hawaii, and a blessing for the planet as well, to bring healing. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to share. Mahalo for hearing us, and mahalo for all your support.
Thank you. Any clarification needed from the testifier? Seeing none, thank you very much. Ms. Nakata.
The next testifier is Chuck Miller. He'll be testifying on LU 36. He'll be followed by Rosemary Robbins, who will also be testifying on LU 36.
Aloha kako, everybody. My name is Chuck Miller, and I'm testifying on behalf of Ho'omana and Gina. Gina and I have shared the same kumu, Atimahi Poi Poi, and everything that Gina is doing up at the property at Ho'omana. Auntie first saw all that happening, and I mahalo Gina for continuing Auntie's legacy and the teachings that she taught us, and continuing to share aloha with the world. Auntie saw Ho'omana being, Auntie saw Gina taking her teachings to the world, her teachings of unconditional love, and Gina has done that and more. And Justin has been planting all the la'aus on the property, and Gina has been using it in the products that she uses in the spa. And all the patients that come out of there, they're wild. Couldn't feel any better than they do it. And that's all the love that Gina and Justin has put into this place. Ho'omana is a special place for me. It's where I go to get away from the world. I mean, that's my pu'u honua. And I mahalo them for holding that sacred space over there up at Ho'omana. And yeah, I hope you guys grant her the permit, because she's doing a lot of good stuff up there. And it'll be just a beneficial for the whole county of Maui. And just Hawaii in general. So mahalo for listening to our testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. Any clarification needed from the testifier? Seeing none, thank you. Ms. Nakata.
Mr. Chair, the next testifier is Rosemary Robbins. She'll be followed by Lawrence Carnicelli. Ms. Robbins is testifying on LU 36.
Good afternoon, everybody. We had a late day here yesterday, and so I didn't get time to go through that whole stack of papers in the 36 section of the land use binder after we finished with this morning's section. But what I did was to go through what seemed to be, as it was put into chapters, the most salient points that I would be interested, I think other people too would be interested in knowing. There were 2 pages. One was that as of March 15th, 2017, this is coming now from the binder, the department has received 1 letter of support regarding this project out of all of those papers. So I went back over and scanned through again. There wasn't anything that would explain that. And then there also was, that's on page 16, and then also on exhibit page 23, it mentions that the family has also helped out in Paucacalo. I certainly know where that is, know some wonderful people from there, but have never lived there. So the majority of people under this ceiling today have more experience with that than I do. But certainly that idea of spirit and wellness is, hopefully we're all in for that. I am concerned about finding more about that land up there. I live up country, so I have some idea. I've walked through the forests up there, very peaceful. But the idea that there's only 2.01 acreage for all of this, and part of it includes a bathhouse, and I'm not too sure how that would set on that shorter limit of space, including with the fact that there are other buildings that are going to be on that. So I'm here to listen and learn, and if you need more time to go through without passing something today, I know that that is one of the options that's available. So thank you, everybody, for helping me learn.
Thank you. Any clarification needed from the testifier? Seeing none, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Nakata.
The next testifier is Lawrence Carnicelli. He'll be testifying on behalf of the Realtors Association of Maui on LU 6.
Good afternoon, Chair, members. I realize that this committee, LU's, I'm sorry, Lawrence Carnicelli, testifying on behalf of the Realtors Association of Maui on LU 6. And I realize that this is just nothing more than filing of a communication, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to talk about the duplex, zoning. And I just think that this is something, especially with the West Maui Community Plan coming online and then the South Maui Plan coming on after that, I think it would be a great opportunity to update the duplex zoning and maybe even add triplexes and fourplexes so that could actually be incorporated into the community plans. Obviously, this is something when we start talking about smart growth and smart planning, this is one of the key components to that. And so I would just say that, I appreciate you filing this, and hopefully we got something new and fresh coming right behind that. So I appreciate that, Chair. And if you'll allow me with the balance of my time, I wasn't really ready to do this, but then I saw who the other applicant was. And so if I could testify on my own behalf on LU 36. I first ran into Gina and her family when her boys were the same size as their daughter. I was actually fortunate enough to go up onto their property and receive some healing and some holding up in there. And it's a very special place. And, I'm not going to get into the Hawaiian aspect of it because there's people that know that way better than I do. But I know what it felt like, and I know what it was for me. And it's also one of those projects that, as a planning commissioner, when it came before us, it was one of those feel-good ones. It was one of those ones that, you just kind of want, you want them to get this. And so I just wanted to say that on my own behalf. And so thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Any clarification needed from the testifier? Seeing none. And Mr. Guzman has joined us. Thank you. Ms. Nakata.
Mr. Chair, no one else has signed up to testify in the chamber.
Is there anybody in the HANA office wishes to give testimony?
Excuse me, Chair, HANA office is closed today.
I'm sorry?
HANA district office is closed today. Only Lanai and Molokai district offices are open.
I'm sorry, I forgot HANA office wasn't on there. Molokai, do you have anybody waiting to give testimony?
There's no one here on Molokai waiting to testify.
Thank you. Molokai, do you have anybody waiting to give testimony?
There's no one here on Molokai waiting to give testimony.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the chamber wishes to give testimony? Please come forward.
Excuse me, Chair, can we call the Lanai office, please, for testifiers? Lanai district office, are there any testifiers?
There's no one waiting to testify at the Lanai office.
Thank you. No objection. We will close public testimony. Public testimony is now closed. Members, the first item is LU 36, conditional permit for property located at 1550 Piholo Road, Makawao. The committee is in receipt of a request from Gina Ivolani Nawa, I know I mispronounced that, for a 5-year conditional permit to conduct classes in Hawaiian culture and medical practices and to operate Ho'omano Spa and bathhouse at 1550 Piholo Road in Makawao. The applicant is requesting that 4 rooms and a main room in the farm dwelling be used for Hawaiian cultural classes and spa treatment rooms. The property currently has a permitted bed and breakfast operation consisting of 5 bedrooms. The proposal will allow 3 of the bedrooms to be used as spa treatment rooms, reducing the B&B bedrooms to 2. Members, please note that since the agenda was posted, the committee did receive the revised proposed bill back from the Department of Corporation Counsel, approved as to form and legality by correspondence dated September 1st, 2017. The revised proposed bill revises Condition 2 relating to the transfer of conditional permit and incorporates non-substantive revisions. With respect to Condition 2, your chair did not believe that the contested case language was needed for purposes of the conditional permit bill and would prefer to see this come back to the council should a transfer of the conditional permit be requested, rather than have the transfer be decided by the Planning Commission. This issue will be up for discussion when we discuss the bill. Planning, do you have any comment at this time?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to say we're in support of granting this permit. When you hear of applications that come to the department, and you got to wonder, okay, what is this about? And so people sometimes want to do things in very remote areas, et cetera. The more I learned about the applicant and what she would like to do, the more comfortable I was with it, how low-key, how the integrity of the applicant. And when it came to the public hearing with the Maui Planning Commission, you don't know who's going to come and testify, et cetera. It was all in favor. It was members of the Hawaiian community coming out and saying, we support what this woman would like to do. She's genuine. She's holding to the teachings that she has been taught. And nobody testified against. There was not even any comments or really concerns that I recall. So it's been a pleasure for the department to process this application and be able to support it coming before the council committee this morning, or this afternoon. It's been a long day already. So that's our comments, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Members, we'll now have a brief presentation by the applicant. Please come forward. And please identify yourself at the microphone.
Aloha Council members, I'm Gina Ivalanina Lua'i. Thank you for watching this brief presentation. I'm going to make it brief. Even though they called me this morning and said, this looks like it's a lot more pages than we're used to. Can you make it 10? We'll give you 15. So I get excited when I talk about this project on 1550 Pi'iholo Road. This is our family land. I was, my father's from Kaneohe and my mother was raised in Hilo. But as many Hawaiians did after the draft and after he returned from Vietnam, they ended up in California. And I was born in East Los Angeles in California, and luckily many other Hawaiians left at the same time, and we had a huge Hawaiian community in California. My father thought it was really important that we came home to learn our culture, so every summer I was back in Oahu with the Ohana and learning and growing in my cultural roots. And it wasn't until I graduated from physical therapy school that I made my way back to Maui as a resident in 2001. I had already started studying with different kupuna on the islands. Auntie Margaret Machado is one of them. And when I went to her place in Kealakekua Bay, I was just really inspired about what she was doing. I was there for 6 weeks with 14 people from around the globe. And my life was touched, and I really couldn't go back. I couldn't go back to California. I just couldn't go back. And so from that point, I started looking for other people who would teach me, people within my own family who would teach me, and that's when I met Auntie Mahilani Poipoi. She used to have a clinic, I don't know if some of you may know or not, down in Wai'ehu, and it was a free clinic. And people would come from the community and bring their mangoes and their bananas and pickled pipinolas to receive lomi. And Auntie would, look them over in the special spiritual way that she did. And she would work with them. And then she would send them over onto the tables where Brother Chucky and myself and a few of the other hamanas were working. After Auntie's passing in 2004, this property came to me. And it's really interesting because in the process of researching for this presentation 3 years ago, I found out that this property had been always in our family. My grandmother, Rachel Cummings, was born and raised in Makawao. And so then I realized, it's not a coincidence that this property came to me. We hui'd up, my father, my sister, and I. We bought this property as a way for our family to have a footprint still in the Hawaiian Islands after my tutu passed away at 102 2 years ago. So when I got this property, I got it for the purpose, always for the purpose of having a place like Auntie Margaret had, where people could come, people could learn about our culture. And one of the things that my kumu Auntie Mahilani told me, and what many of my kumu told me, was that Hawaii could heal the world. And I wanted to be part of that. So I really welcome the opportunity to work with the county to create a distinction on agricultural land for Hawaiian Cultural Education Center, where we're perpetuating ancient Hawaiian healing practices legally. We received the approval. It was an 8 out of 8 at the Planning Commission. I know you've heard that already. Which was a really awesome day for us. And for the Cultural Center, we are asking for approval for up to 16 participants for event, coming a minimum of 4 times a year in each of the classes that we do. And we have to start them out at the foundation and grow them on the foundation of our Lomi practices, which if you've ever had Hawaiian healing practices, they're not separate like some of our more modern Western practices. The Lomi practitioner was doing chants and prayers, la'au lapa'au. They were doing body work. They were working spiritually with Ho'oponopono, and that's what we have come to do. And I was just only practicing on my own. And then when I started having students come through, I realized there was really nowhere for them to go and practice what I was teaching them. They would have to go to the Four Seasons or the Grand Wailea or the Westin on the other side, and they weren't able to la'okahea and chant the healing prayers in their sessions. They weren't able to use the la'aulapa'au in the way that we were taught to use it in their practices. And I realized that we needed a way, a place for them to land to actually practice what it is that we were teaching, what it is that my kumu taught me in the way that she taught me. And so that's why I decided that the best way was to open space for them to do that. And, you know, in the old days, you would go to the practitioner, and they would do all of those things that I just listed for you. And so having a place for that to happen, I knew was really important. And we had our main house, and I thought to open the treatment rooms in order that the people could practice, and there would be a place for people to come to, not just people that are, not just for the Hawaiians, yes, for the Hawaiians, to help activate the Hawaiians to really sink deep into their culture, but also for the travelers who are coming to teach them about Hawaiian ways. A place where they can go to receive authentic lomi lomi, and also for our community members to have a way to connect to Hawaiian culture. And 4 apprentices a year who stay with me to get their license in the state of Hawaii to become licensed practitioners here is what I'm requesting. We're also requesting that we be able to operate the spa as a wellness center. In the old days, you wouldn't have called it a spa. It was Auntie's house. And it was at her house. It wasn't in a strip mall. It wasn't in a, conference room in a hotel where people were going to learn. It was Auntie's house where you're going to learn, just like I went to Auntie's house. And so it is my home. And I'm asking to open some space for practitioners to work, to practice. The Tub House is located on our 2-acre property, adjacent to the area where spa services would be held and classroom would happen. And what we have done is planted more than 30 species of native plants that we use as la'au. On a 2-acre parcel, you couldn't possibly support a family and a community by the yield of 2 acres. However, in the unique way that Auntie Mahi saw the perpetuation of her la'au lapa'au, we are able to take a 5-gallon bucket of la'au, distill it in a distillery up in Kula, and when those hydrosol form of the plant captured in water, all of the mana of the plant from the root to the flower in water, we're able to create unique products with la'au lapa'au, some that haven't been used, publicly in many, many years. And so I want to share a little bit about that with you too. And these products we make, and they're very, very special. And they came originally from Auntie Mahilani's la'au lapa'au. This is our property here. This is the land. You can see where the tub house is, and you can see that there's plenty of parking for the amount of people that we would like to have. There's 6 parking spaces for the spa guests in those 4 rooms. There's parking for the staff. There's parking for each of the cottages. And as the chairman said, we were approved for 5-room bed and breakfast, but knowing always that we were going to come before you today and ask that 3 of those rooms be used for spa and a 4th for our wellness. And we've created walkways where people can view the plants, where they can see the plants that are in use, where we've have placards posted so they can learn about the plants and their medicinal uses. And what they do is they go and they gather those plants, and we put it together with Hawaiian salt and ava, and that's the tubs that we offer, is using the products from the land. This is the layout of our hale. You can see the studio for cultural education and the treatment rooms, and then on this side would be the bed and breakfast side. This is the property going in. I feel that Upcountry is a really unique place. It's a very quiet place. It's forested. It's beautiful agricultural land. And I feel that the use of this land, as far as the serenity of the type of work that we're doing, I think the loudest thing you would hear is a little bit of chanting meditatively, as far as if you were worried about any noise pollution or anything like that. These are the 3 rooms in the main house that are currently for bed and breakfast, that are currently bed and breakfast use, as you can see in these pictures right here, that we're asking to be used for Hawaiian spa. And when I went through the reasonable and unusual use, I kept seeing ho'omana under all of these different places. Ho'omana being a place that wouldn't be loud for, or that wouldn't obstruct traffic in any way, that all the parking is off the main road. Also to see that this is a unusual use, diversified use of agriculture, sustainable agriculture and cultural practices. I see that lots of people are coming up country for different things. We have now the zip line up there, Hokonui Farms is up there, the stables is up there. There's plenty of different places and reasons for people to come up country for activities, and I see this as a unique activity for our people that are coming from elsewhere who really want to experience Hawaiian culture. We did receive many letters of support. 30 letters of support when we went for our special use, and many more letters of support that were sent in before the 2 o'clock deadline yesterday from many different people from the community and from our adjacent neighbors. We have 4 letters from adjacent neighbors in community support. These are just the different practices that we do, the different things that I was passed to care for and to perpetuate from my kumu. I've been a therapist for 20 years, an instructor for 15 years, and a cultural practitioner for more than 15 years. And I intend to do that for much more years until I'm old like Auntie. And basically, I feel that I'm just simply doing what we have always done. It wasn't that long ago that people were going to see the village practitioners. And where do they go today? Where do people go? And I find that wherever I am. We do community outreaches out in Paukukalo, out in the community in Hawaiian Homes, out in Hana, over in Molokai. When we were in Molokai, we got done working on one of the kupuna, and she said, "What are we going to do when you leave? Who's going to work on us?" And I said, "Molokai kapule o'o, this is the place of the powerful prayer. Where are your healers?" And she said, "Well, we have much prayer, but we need more lomi." And so before I left there, I told the caretakers there, listen, put it out into the community here that Ho'omana will scholarship who wants to learn lomi from this community so that they can come back and work in this community. And we now have 3 practitioners working on the community in Molokai. And that's what we intend to do wherever we go. This is also happening on Kauai Island, out in Hana. And we want them to be able to receive all the different aspects that keep this lineage practice alive. One of my inspirations was Auntie Angeline Losi. She lives in Hawaiian Homes in Kauai. And she has a place called the Mu'olaulani. And she's recently passed away that last year. But when I went to her, I said, "Auntie, I love what you're doing here." She said, I'm going to help you, and you're not going to have to do it in 30 years the way that I did. And sure enough, I left her house in 2001, and in 2005, we obtained ho'omana, and the vision began. Her son and her granddaughter are now running her beautiful establishment, and I see that also my children will have a place where they can continue these practices long after I'm no longer doing Lomi anymore. Our intention is to bring harmony and balance to everyday life, not just for the people of Hawaii, but anybody who wants to hear our practices. Offer services and experience and products that also bring harmony and balance. And our mission is our structure is to grow it, to teach it, and to provide it. So we grow la'au on our agricultural farm. We use these things to teach the students because our classroom has never been indoors. Our classroom is a living classroom. It's indoors and it's outdoors. We have to take people to places where they can get activated, where they can begin to listen to the plant. And in the classroom, in a building, isn't the best place for that. It's out on the land. And so that's how we teach in a living classroom. And to provide it, olapono, caring for the whole body through spa and wellness services, spa and outreach, and kokua, giving back. And there's many ways that our ohana of ho'omana kokua. La'au has its own spiritual force that we ask to be used in our healing practices. These are just some of the plants that we are growing on our property. You can see them here as well. This is part of the distillation process that is happening. Those are olena in those stills from our garden, from our 5-gallon yield. And these are made into products that people can use on their bodies for different things, and also internally for well-being. These are some of the plants that we have in our products by way of mists and body butters and healing tonics, body treatments and teas. These are my kupuna, my kumu. And we are dedicated to teaching in the same way that my kupuna taught to me in all of our Hawaiian ways of learning. And it's experiential. It's not something you can read in a book. It's something that you have to feel. And I've been guided to teach in this way and create a learning experience that inspires transformation, just like all of these kupuna help to activate the gifts that I carry and help to bring them all the way out. We and our practitioners educate in not only the Hawaiian way of learning, but the Hawaiian way of being. And the Hawaiian way of being is in connection with the land, in connection with one another, and in connection with kia kua'i'o. And so we take them out to the lo'i, we take them out to the taro patch. And in fact, Ho'omana has been supporting the taro patches in Wailuanui, Wai'ehu, and now in Honokahau for more than 12 years, because people come, and when we have many hands, we laulima, we do work, and we give back. Our programs are nationally certified. They've been DOE approved, and these are just a handful of the things that we do and teach, from working with healing stones to Hawaiian backwalking to hapai lomi lomi, Hawaiian pregnancy massage, and of course all the spiritual aspects of ho'oponopono and using our la'au lapa'au. If our ancestors were alive and practicing their healing lineage today, their storefront would be called a spa. Some people are a little reactive to that word spa, but that really is how we can speak in the language that we've been given in modern times today to express that wellness that was practiced before. And it doesn't have to be a sterile environment. It has to be warm. It has to be inviting, like Brother shared when he came up there. And that's really what we strive to do. And bring that ancient healing way to a modern experience. And we call it spiritual teachings, Hawaiian healing modalities, la'au lapa'au, chants, prayers, and, you know, some nice relaxing music. But what is felt is something that's bigger, something that's lasting. And so this is our version of what you would traditionally find in a spa, which is massage, facials, body treatments, skin treatments. And we have different rituals that we do. I shared already our Aina ritual, where they go out onto the land and they get to pick the herbs that they want to use for their treatment. Every single person who comes through gets to learn about la'aulapa'au and choose what they want to use on their body that's appropriate for them. And we've had the wonderful opportunity through the students that have come through and the many healing hands that come through to be of support to our greater community outside of Ho'omana. And these are just some of the outreaches that we've done, including the one I shared on Molokai and Paukukalo and Hana. In addition, we've gone and worked in Women Helping Women. We've worked with Habitat for Humanity. We've done projects at the Bailey House to offer lomi and plenty free lomi to the community. Ho'omana scholarships, Kanaka, and local people to come and learn these teachings so that they can be supported by their cultural traditions. I think it's important for those that will come, the future generations, to know that, this isn't just something that you only can practice in the house, because healing hands can work outside of the ohana and beyond. And why not be supported financially by the healing practices that you've been passed by your kupuna? So these are some of the tarot patches that we go out in. We also caretake different heiau on the island. We work closely with Kukuipuka Ohana at the Kukuipuka Heiau. We also have worked very closely with Honolua, Kupuhua Heiau. And these are very sacred places of activation for us. And when we practice our healing cultural practices at these places, it keeps those places alive and also activates each one of us. This is our time in Molokai. We've gone several years. We've gone and stayed at the Keawanui Fish Pond there, and also gone to work on the makahiki game contestants or participants, which was just a magical cross-island sharing for us. We request approval to provide our local Hawaiian and visiting community an opportunity to experience this culture and these healing art forms. And I know that the state constitution supports the perpetuation of our cultural art forms. I've looked in the state constitution, in the Maui County plan, in the Upcountry General Plan, and all I saw was businesses like Ho'omana, exactly what we're doing as what you've requested to have in these places. Sustainable operations. We're a Hawaiian-owned and operated business. We are supporting community. We are supporting other upcountry businesses by helping to grab that 12% of tourists that even leave the resort areas to come up and have an experience up country, and we send them out to Surfing Goat Dairy, and we send them out to Ali'ikula Lavender Farm and to the zip line, and it brings more support and business for upcountry community. And these are just a few. They're doing agricultural tours and products, and we're asking to do agricultural tours and products through education and training, spa and wellness. We would like to work with the county to create this distinction, and I hope that if we get approval today, when we get approval today, that others who come behind me who also want to practice their cultural practices on their agricultural properties, practicing hula or ukulele or lei making or lomi or la'aulapa'au or whatever it is, that they can use our case to be able to continue to perpetuate our cultural art forms here on Maui and statewide. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members, I'm going to open the floor for discussion. We also have, besides planning, we have public works that I have over here, if you have any questions. And the floor is now open. Ms. Cochran?
before I get to Gina, does Public Works have comments?
Chair, just for the record, we did submit a comment letter, but it's basically just to inform the planning department that there were a couple, or there was one after the fact building permit, and that's something that we can follow up on. And yeah, other than that, we had no additional concerns.
Okay, great. And I thank you. And thank you, Gina. It's nice to see you. Disclosure, I do know Gina, and I had an opportunity to actually stay at her wonderful, wonderful property many years ago when I was the early stages of Safe Honolulu Coalition. And it's a very spiritual, special place. And you showed so much aloha and love and support. So I want to thank you for that. And a disclosure that we have I haven't seen you probably since then or been up there, been so busy, but that we have had a relationship and do know of her wonderful work and support it very much so. Also know Keola Sakara that was here that testified on your behalf from Lahaina, and Apila to his wife, and they have just been supportive of you, and we've shared and we've talked. So I want to bring that forward and know that I do support this application, and because she does bring, perpetuates our culture and our healing that, is needed in this world, and especially our communities. So I want to thank you for your work. And Chair, as you asked me if I was knew of Gina or this applicant, and I shared with you that I did, and really highly support her endeavors here. So thank you for bringing it forward. So I don't have questions, Gina. I just wanted to give you props and let the rest of the members know that I do know of you and the work that you do and appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Cochran. Members? Ms. Covello.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Mahalo. Mahalo, especially for the extension up into my home island, Molokai. I'm also a hamana of Papa Henry Awai, and there's about 6 of us that continue his work with La'o Lapa'o on our island. So I wholeheartedly support what you're doing. We often have people come in here to request for retreat centers and what have you, with several structures or teaching farming techniques. But I don't know you, and I would love to get to know you on all of your teachings, but I've heard of you. So, and I look at your kumu. I look at your nakumu is just wealth that you've been so blessed to receive, all these blessings. And I also feel that in this arena, whether it's outside of here, but in this political arena that we live, we have to be mindful. And you bring what hopefully we can all remember what is important of our ancestors and our tradition. It's the spirituality. It's finding balance and harmony with us and with one another. I liked what you shared about the land, learning that we have to land, but to take care of one another. You know, when we take care of one another, we know that we're going to take care of the land. So I truly, sincerely appreciate this. Planning department or chair, 5 years, why not give it lifetime conditional permit? This is something, and what I appreciate is you have made it compatible with our traditions and with modern techniques. The way I was taught was, no, you pound that olena, and you pound and you pound and you pound, and then we find shortcuts to using maybe the coffee grinder, and then our Po'okela would tell us ole. But when you would put it all together that way, it's just because we are all children of our Creator, and you're extended that completely. So I hear you, I appreciate you. I appreciate the concept. And I just want to mahalo. And I'm serious. There should be this is, that is truly a carry-on of another kahuna of our ancestors. So I mahalo you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Gofello. And I'm going to recognize Mr. White, who has been here all this time, and I failed to recognize him. Mr. White.
That's fine, Chair. I just want to thank you for a very thoughtful and thorough presentation. And I also want to thank you for subjecting yourself to the process, because from my perspective, this is not something that should need a permit at all. Like you pointed out in your presentation, this is something that has always been done in homes, and in many of our views should always be more than a part of anyone's home. So I appreciate the thoroughness, and I appreciate what you do and what you bring to the community. And Chair, I would support moving this from a 5-year time frame to a 10-year time frame, because I think this is one of those that shouldn't really be here for a permit, but since they've gone through it, I don't want to make them go through it again for another 10 years. I would be happy to make that motion to amend.
And I second. Your mic. Your mic.
It's been moved by Mr. White, seconded by Ms. Cavell. Discussion.
Chair, is the main motion on the floor to make the amendment?
We don't have a motion on the floor yet, but we can still make the amendment now and incorporate it when we make the motion.
Interesting.
If you would like to have the motion first,
I think I would rather see a main motion on the
floor
floor first and an amendment to it.
When I make the main recommendation, it would read as amended.
Yeah. We've done that.
You can't read it as amended before you make the amendment.
But you need a main motion on the floor to make an amendment. You can't make an amendment without the main motion.
Does anybody want to be a parliamentarian over here?
Brief recess, Chair.
Brief recess. At the chair's discretion, a motion on the floor stands, and we will have a vote. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 8 ayes, 1 excused. Mr. Okama. Discussion. The floor is still open. Or comments. Since we've had no discussion, we've had, no questions. We've had only comments so far. So, anybody else has comments?
I
Ms.
just
Key?
wanted to say that I'm so happy to see a project with so much positivity. And I call it a project because I think this conditional use permit is a project, but I know that the actual, what you're trying to do there is much more than that. So I'm ready for the motion, Chair.
Main motion, Chair.
Chair,
I'm sorry, Ms. Guzman.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to also thank the applicant and her family. And I love the story. I love the fact that life is a circle and you're coming back to your roots. And it's almost like a divine intervention that you're back on the same land of your family. So that is a real blessing. It's something special. I have a question on when you mentioned the cottages for the B&B that were granted under the special use permit, and you said you wanted to convert 3 of those to the spa. How is that? Is that the 3 rooms that you're going to be utilizing for the spa? They're going to be living there? Are we staying there?
No. They wouldn't be used. What happened was we always wanted to go for spa, but in the meantime, knowing that it would take almost 2 years to get to this seat that I'm sitting in right now, just because of the process, I went ahead and had those rooms be designated for. I'm trying to go back to it. I had those rooms be designated for bed and breakfast, just in case we didn't get approval for spa.
I see.
Always knowing that we would eventually come and request that the use be for spa of those 3 treatment rooms. So we went for a bed and breakfast, and I'll show you here the floor plan. These 2 rooms, you can see bedroom 1, 2, and then bedroom, this would be bedroom 3, 4, and 5, but we're asking that those 3 that were originally designated bed and breakfast would be designated under this conditional use as treatment rooms.
Okay. So the 3 on the other side.
So the
of that building, the 2
here are only 2 that would remain bed and breakfast. And we have asked that these that were originally bed and breakfast be changed to treatment rooms, and that we add the addition of this treatment room adjacent to the education studio.
Okay. So that being said, I'm just wondering on the procedural, on the special use permit, does that automatically change the use? And is that a violation of the special use permit by changing the use? I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that this is all clear.
I don't even know how to answer that question, so
Planning or Public Works?
I would think that we could probably make that designation administratively, but because it's a less intensive use than having it as a B&B, so we probably have that prerogative to do so.
Yeah, my concern is like if there's a challenge on the special use and they're saying, oh, look, those are supposed to be, I know it's ridiculous sometimes, but the fact that it's not being used as a B&B in the special use permit, we've got to make sure that that coincides with what is being actually used
I
now.
understand.
Yeah, so it's
Cross
consistent.
that bridge if we get to it.
I think of these things. I don't know. It just comes to my head. But.
I will say that when we went before the Planning Commission, we did tell them the same thing that we're telling you now before we were granted the special use, that we said we originally did this because, just in case, just as a safety net. But really always wanting to make the request for special use for the spa. And in our paperwork, we asked for those, and in the paperwork in the presentation that you've seen, and we asked for the possibility to have it be used as the spa as well.
I understand the request, but what is actually within the use of the special use permit granting the B&Bs? Is there an alternative language that says, okay, if not, then those can be used for X, Y, Z? And if you can do it administratively, I would love to just defer it, but make sure that it is done so that there's no problems later on.
Right. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Spence.
The number 7 of the conditions for the special use permit say that the applicant shall develop the property in substantial compliance with the representations made to the commission in obtaining the special use permit. So this was one of the representations made.
But is that also documented?
It's in the application. It's not specific that just in case this permit isn't granted, they can do that. But this is what their application was for.
Okay. So if we're looking at a 10-year, I mean, since we've actually
and it is in the
voted
minutes.
Yeah, it's in the minutes.
Yes.
Gosh, can we make sure it's
yes.
more visible, more available for?
And I would also say the special use permit is for 5 years, but to renew that permit, the planning director can administratively extend that. So for the 10 years, when the 5 years is up, whoever's sitting in that seat at that time can administratively extend it.
Who's ever sitting in that seat?
Right.
Can you do it administratively before whoever sits in your seat?
I think
because we're looking at a 10-year on this one, and then you have a 5-year on the A and the B and B. So let's try to make it consistent somehow and put the proper language in conspicuous.
I'll ask the applicant specifically.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Any further discussion or comments? Ms. Sigamura?
I just wanted to extend my support too, and just listening to you, I can see why Planning Director said that he has enjoyed this project as, I guess you've been doing this for 3 years, going through this process. So I want to thank you. I think it probably embraces the culture and the spirit of Aloha, and I think some of us or all of us can sign up and be blessed by you with your
come see us.
Place of healing and spirituality. So
I do just want to say that because I couldn't find the distinction, it was very frustrating at first. And then I just decided, you know what? If I can puka through and help to create this distinction, then if that helps anybody after me, then I'm going to do it. And so it's been a real awesome way to learn about the plan for this county and the plan for Upcountry and our plans for sustainability, which I know that all of you are a part of. And it made me excited to get the endorsement from the county to do what we're doing when I found that these are the kinds of things you guys were asking for in these plans. And I was happy to see where we fit.
Chair, one more thing, and by sitting in the chambers and listening to a lot of these requests for conditional use permits or people that come through, it's so nice to hear just positive, in the Planning Commission and today. I mean, your support is definitely here, including your family, and it's really wonderful not to have many testifiers against. And I mean, it looks like your neighborhood must be a happy and peaceful, or at least peaceful place, and you must fit in, quite nicely. I do know the Baldwins, which are your neighbors, and I love that area, and I'm glad to see that you're there. So thank you.
Any further discussion?
Sure. Yes. So the spa type services and things have been happening already prior to seeking this permit?
I was running my treatments in treatment 4, and then we received a cease and desist letter, which is when we began to seek the proper avenues to get to this place right now. And going through the special use, we have been operating knowing that we were coming to here, and I want to be very honest about that, and wish to continue to operate as the after the fact permits go through and the final stamp of approval goes through, to just continue to serve the community.
Okay. And so the state or special use permit with the Land Use Commission expires September of 2018. How does that play out with all of this? Is that, I'm looking at the application, Mr. Spence, on page 3. So it's a recommendation, so I don't, or is this old? I don't know. This is like, what, 247 pages in this document. But I'm looking at page 3 and the State Land Use Commission's special permit and the condition 1 on that.
The special use permit is for 5 years from the date that the Planning Commission approved. So it's like every other permit that's granted, there are timelines attached to them. But as discussed in this particular case, we can administratively extend that.
Okay. So Land Use Commission, you can do that. You can override Land Use Commission.
No, it's not Land Use Commission.
The
Because
land-
it falls that these special use permits, because it's on ag land, fall under the rules of the State Land Use Commission. State Land Use Commission designates the county as, and specifically the planning commissions as the approving bodies for permits under 15 acres that involve areas of land less than 15 acres. Therefore, the planning commission is the approving body, not the land use commission. So we're not overriding the land use commission at all.
Okay. All right, got it. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Any further comment or questions?
Recommendation?
Members, the chair will entertain a motion to recommend passage on first reading the revised proposed bill entitled A Bill for an Ordinance Granting Gina Ivolane Maui a conditional permit to conduct classes in Hawaiian culture and medicinal practices and operate the Ho'omano Spa and Bathhouse property identified as tax map key, parentheses 2-4-013, semicolon 142, Makawao, Maui, Hawaii, as amended, incorporating any non-substantive revisions and filing of County Communication 17-240.
So moved, Chair.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. White, seconded by Ms. Mura. Discussion, Mr. White?
No further discussion. Thank you.
Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 8 ayes, no noes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mahalo.
Wow, thank you. Wow, first time I ever saw that.
A very brief recess while we clear the
Every day, and I need my music just as much to keep me in my space. So darling, tell me that you love me all the time, and I'll make it up to you. Yes, I'll make it up to you. You know I'd make it up to you. Well, I'll make it up to you. Baby, I'd make it up to you. Well, I'll make it up to you. Make it up to you with my love, with my love. was crying, but today I see I treated you wrong, so shame on me. When we met, you were the only one. I asked myself, what have I done? Now that you're gone, I finally see that I treated you wrong, so shame on me. Shame on me for hurting you. What can I say? What can I do? So shame on me for hurting you. What can I say? What can I do? Last night I was crying, but today I see that I treated you wrong, so shame on me. When we met, you were the only one that I asked myself, what have I done? Now that you're gone, I finally see that I treated you wrong, so shame on me. I treated you wrong, shame on me. kapuana a olu palakua Ei niki niki ahi ahi ka homia o paniolo Pua mai ke aloha ka ui ka maka e hake au e inu I ka vai o ke apua o ku'u lehua I luna ka uelea ene No, no, ka
This land use committee is called back to order. Members, we have one more item on our agenda, and with us we have Mr. White, Ms. Cavello, Ms. Kimura, Ms. Cochran, and Kelly King. Excused at this time, or Guzman, Okama, and Atai. Our second item is LU6, two-family duplex district. Members, County Communication 13-283 originally transmitted a proposed bill to amend the chapter in the Maui County Code relating to two-family duplex district. Then the Planning Committee recommended passage of the proposed bill. However, as it indicated in Committee Report 13-130, the committee recommended the communication be kept open so the Department of Planning could review the possibility of increasing density by allowing tripleplex and quadplexes in addition to duplexes. I have discussed the issue with the Department of Planning and have concluded that the county communication should be filed. Planning Director, do you have any comments at this time?
No real comments, Mr. Chairman. We look forward to other changes in our zoning code to accommodate triplexes, quadplexes at a future date.
And members, for your information, I will be meeting in October with the Planning Department, Corporation Council, and my staff, and we will be drafting a new ordinance with the information that we have. But this other one has so much baggage on it that it's just too cumbersome to bring forward. Any further discussion on the filing of this communication? Mr. Guzman.
As part of that discussion, is it, are you going to be looking at different districts as well as for the need of the different types of duplexes? Because I know in Kahului, we definitely could use the quadruplexes, but I'm not sure in upcountry and South Maui whether they have a need for those type of plexes. But I know in Kahului we can max out. We definitely need those there.
We can have that discussion.
Okay.
And I think there are appropriate places for triplexes, quadplexes, and duplexes. There are places where they would not be appropriate as well.
And once we have a bill that we can bring forward, then we can look as to the scope and the areas, and when we bring that forward, and we can have that discussion, and that's really the point in filing this and starting over again.
Right.
To have something clean.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Ms. King?
Thank you, Chair. No, Mr. Guzman brought up a good point, and I just would like maybe some consideration as to some language about it if it fits in with the community plan, because of in light of what's happening in Haiku, where we have an ordinance that says one thing, a community plan that says another thing. That possibly if we could put that language into that bill, might help.
Mr. Spence? Any comment?
Yeah, I didn't really think we would get into all that, but right
Just a
now,
suggestion.
you have areas designated on the community plan for single family. And the community plans universally say that the single-family areas are for single-family residences or duplexes. And so when we start getting into triplexes and quadplexes, understandably, we need those kinds of uses. It gets complicated with the community plan designations as well.
Right, so
we'll
I'm
have
just
to-
asking to consider some languages, you know, if it's accepted in the,
Yeah.
because we're going to have to go back for a community plan amendment at that
Oh,
point.
I would agree.
So we don't want to be creating conflicting ordinances. so.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any further discussion before I give my recommendation? Members, the chair will entertain a motion to file County Communication 13-284.
So moved, Chair.
Second.
And moved by Mr. White, seconded by Ms. Sugimura. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, 6 ayes, no noes. And that concludes the business of the Land Use Committee. This meeting stands adjourned.